The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Soccer to the Max, as we are here to discuss MLS Week 2 with one less game to talk about because Orlando and New England was postponed due to weather, even though other places, other teams that played close to that area still played, so that seems a bit weird at this point. But hey, we also don't just have MLS to talk about. We got U.S. Women's National Team after She Believes Cup has been completed, and they bombed out after a big loss to France. So Rachael's going to talk about that. Plus, we got U.S. Men's National Team predictions for some of the roster after, we got hints already, and we already got international squads filling up rosters with some MLS players. So we have to figure that out. Gold Cup already got announced, so we can discuss some of that too, and more. But of course, I'm not just here by myself. Mr. Rachael McKriger, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Sorry, we are starting late. My computer and taking unintended naps suck. But Erik Watkins, how are you?
Little tired. It's been a very strange weekend, and I will say two things. Apparently, there's an unwritten rule where there's only one Snow Classico in MLS per week. So, yeah, we reached that quota, and I'll trade you unintended naps for unintended things that have happened to me, especially at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Use your imagination, folks.
I'll give you one clue, and it started with stomach pain. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that does not sound good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it happens, but apparently 2.5 drinks in McDonald's at like midnight. Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, probably not a good idea for anybody to do that.
No.
But hey, maybe we'll have some better luck discussing the footy on the ground here. But it wasn't, again, another week, another huge loss for Minnesota in that Snow Classico that you talked about here. 6-1. I don't know that Minnesota looked worse than last week. They couldn't mark anyone. I mean, yeah, Atlanta got a couple of nice deflections and stuff like that, but it's just like, Lord, I don't know. I don't know that you can say Atlanta looks. I mean, they look good against New York. I'm not going to say they didn't, but I just like, I don't know how, if this is going to be a theme for Minnesota, I don't know how you can judge yourself against them.
Okay, let me just throw out some early stats. Looking at the table here.
Oh, I should also mention Minnesota becomes the first team ever in MLS to give up 5 goals or more in 2 consecutive games.
Yeah, and the fact, they were what? The first team, the 4th team to concede 5 in a game in a season, and the first ever expansion team to concede more than 3 in their opener. So, in 2 matches, no wins, no draws, 2 losses, and you're sitting at a goal difference of now -10? Wait.
Yeah.
No, -9. -9.
Yeah, because they have the 2 goals, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, last time I checked, you're not supposed to randomly stand there in your 18-yard box and let a guy get a pretty clear shot. And I don't know if it's Adrian Heath. I don't know if it's the personnel. I don't know if it's the formation. I don't know if it's a lack of communication, but and I'm not even going to throw in the Minnesota accent this time. It was just no.
It was just bad everywhere around, and they don't even score a goal from the run of play because Molino scores a penalty kick. So it's goodness. Rachel, anything?
I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I feel bad for my friend that has to cover the team because, man, what a crappy team to cover. I mean, like Erik said, I mean, if this is going to happen, or it was you, Sean, if this was going to happen this whole season, I mean, why did you bump them up to MLS? I mean, they're just not ready.
Well, I mean, they certainly went about things much differently than Atlanta did, as far as signing players and everything, but it just felt like signing players and making sure they had the right team wasn't their MO. It was more about, hey, we're happy to be in MLS and everything else, because every time you'd watch their Twitter, it was like, oh, we're signing like 5 people this week. Nothing would happen. And yeah.
Maybe it's because this is the time of year where nobody in Minnesota will notice.
Also doesn't help that their goalkeeper got into a pretty bad collision, had to be stretchered off.
That was insult to injury at that point. It was already, right. 4-1? I mean, exactly. When you're down 2-0 in the first few minutes, I mean...
And that Almiron deflection then hit is one of the goals of the week that you can vote for right now, which is a beautiful goal, by the way. But like you said, there was just plenty of times where they're just running around and you're going, is Minnesota going to mark anyone? Or is Atlanta just going to run through?
They let themselves get stretched out. They did the same thing against Portland. That's why I say I don't know if they have the right formation. Maybe if they're not going to be that compact, do you really need 4 at the back? Because maybe if you have fewer players, that's less of a problem and there's easier communication.
Maybe. But I don't know. Adrian Heath's going to have to figure out something. I shuffled this lineup up a bit. They have a few, like, you got Molino, you got a few other diamonds in the rough there, but the rest is just, this is going to be a long season for Minnesota fans, sadly. Speaking of, the LA Galaxy also go down to being 0-2. After they suffered 2 more suspensions at the beginning of the week. The only team that has suspensions. Romney and Jermaine Jones both taken out because of excessive, I guess, fouling or play that they deemed should have been red cards, or I don't know how MLS does this. But I kind of feel like Credinolfo has a little bit of a beef. Like, 2 players on the same team, and it's the only team. Like, I got Jermaine Jones. He should have been for that nasty foul in the FC Dallas game, but it's just, it seems weird to me. I mean, what do you guys think?
Honestly, I would have thought DC United, that would have happened to them first, because they had their same, what a lot of people would call dirty tactics, and a lot of late challenges, fouls, and yellow cards, just like they did last season. So when I heard that, I was like, what has happened? What has happened? How is that working? I don't necessarily want to be that guy, Mr. Conspiracy Theory guy, but Something don't smell right.
I mean, this is the first time that the Galaxy have gone 0-2 since 2001, and I saw somebody tweet, like, is it time to push the panic button? Well, maybe. I mean, losing Bruce Arena is obviously visible, and losing Jossie Zardes, obviously visible. It's just, they need to handle adversity and change a little bit better.
Yeah, well, it doesn't help either that they're going to be out another guy because Joel Van Dam got sent off for 2 yellow cards that were, I don't know, they were pretty, they weren't good.
That's their captain.
Yeah, and you're having to deal with being down to your third string left back because Romney was out. And you're out Jermaine Jones, who is obviously a big key in the midfield. And you're out Jossie Zardes and Robbie Rogers and Ashley Cole. So, yeah, LA was hampered. And honestly, I mean, credit to them for only giving up the 1 goal to Diego Chara, which came early before this stuff even happened with Van Dam. But I mean, and once again, Diego Valeri looked wonderful in that little exchange that led to the goal by Chara. But I mean, just I don't know. This is also speaking of positive things. This is also the first time since Portland's been in MLS that they are 2-0. So first time for the Galaxy 0-2 since 2001, and the first time since 2011 since Portland entered the league that they're 2-0. So that's good for Portland. But man, I agree with you. The Galaxy just it doesn't look good, and it doesn't look good because Gio Dos Santos had to get subbed off at halftime as well after pulling up lame. So if I'm Mexico, I'm kind of upset right now too.
Yeah, and especially not just because of these 2 games, looking ahead a little bit. If 0-2 suddenly becomes 0-4, then you have no choice but to hit the panic button because something's wrong. Yes, you're in the West. Yes, you don't have too much extra competition in Minnesota, but leapfrogging more teams is going to get tougher as the season progresses. So you need these points now just like you would August, September, October.
Yeah, certainly. It's I worry about the Galaxy, but we kind of knew this coming in, right? With them deciding to go with the young crew, it's possible that this could happen.
You have a point there, but just better to get it out of the way early in the season, I guess.
Moving on. We have the Chicago Fire blanking Real Salt Lake again. So 2 games Real Salt Lake can't score a goal. And Chicago scoring two pretty early goals too. The Arturo Alvarez goal was just, I don't understand basically Alvarez just blows by 2 guys and then it trickles through into the goal. And then the Nicholas goal was just a great piece of work, honestly. Salt Lake at times looked like they could do stuff, but they had nothing other than free kicks and corners. There was nothing going on for Real Salt Lake in this game. And I think Juninho being here finally, because he had to miss that first game, that pairing with Dallas McCarty, that's going to be some fantastic stuff for Chicago. Both of them looked really good in this game.
And the fact that it was just 2, especially how Juninho was playing in the counterattack and just pushing the ball forward in the second half, had you had some better passes in the final third, that could have been 4 or 5. I mean, there was no way. In RSL's credit, they looked mostly in sorts, especially after those 2 early goals, but they were just getting carved, especially in the midfield, and it's like, look out for the fire, because, eesh.
Rachel, a lot of people were talking about this Dax McCarty trade. Looks like Chicago might have made the right choice.
And I think the Red Bulls are thinking, what in the world have we done? You know, they, like, essentially, and Chicago did a good job in the free agency getting other people, but they basically made Chicago a threat, giving Dax McCarthy to them.
Exactly, because New York Red Bulls didn't even score in their own game. They had to have Colorado score for them. So I'm pretty sure they're hoping at this point, they're wishing that they had Dax McCarty. I mean, the one thing I wanted to say here before we get out of this is that we've talked about both teams. The MLS has made a new deal with Univision, which helps me because I don't have any of the Univision stations. I use, well, I do on my cable, I guess. But when they play on Univision Deportes, neither PlayStation View or my limited basic cable, the lowest thing that Comcast gives you, has that, so I can't watch the games live. And now they've made a deal with Facebook, just like with the CONCACAF Champions League, where you can watch the Univision games, at least 22 of them. I don't know if during the year they're going to add more. But for now, 22 of them are going to be able to be watched on Facebook, and the first one's going to be Atlanta and Chicago next week.
Two very good markets for Univision. I'm liking this deal, and don't even get me started about Comcast. I've had a very long-standing beef with them.
I wish I could get my freaking... No, now I got to pay the $50 unlimited data thing that they slapped me with, so...
You don't even want to know how much my Comcast bill is a month. Trust me.
Mine's $150 right now.
Take that and nearly double it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, so when I heard about Google Fiber killing those dreams...
Oh, I know, man. I know. Come on. Why Google Fiber? we were hoping for you so badly, and then...
Especially because here in Jacksonville, we were on the list. Good to go.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's not the only.
Don't pay an unlimited fee. Just get ready, because that's coming to everybody pretty soon.
Well, at least I can take a little bit of solace in the fact that wasn't the only thing that broke my heart this weekend. Because, little question to NYCFC: Could you have waited another week to do what you did? Because no, stop it. No.
I'm pretty sure they were just. I think that was the question right after last week with Orlando was, is NYCFC going to have a problem scoring? And well, they just had to wait 1 week to get home in Yankee Stadium and zap the DC for 4 via with 2 goals.
They could have waited an extra week. I mean, I didn't want to have to sit through and Andre Pirlo, David Villa, Maxi Morales. No. That could have... No. I don't care that it was your home opener. I would have been just fine with another scoreless draw. That would have been okay with me. But alas. At least Taylor Kemps continues to be a bit of a bright spot on the left-hand side. I like the way that he pushes forward, but that's it.
What's with the 2 games, no goals for DC? What's up with that, Erik?
We don't generate anything once we get the ball. It's either we started out against Sporting Kansas City being too cute, and then all of a sudden we wait to take shots, and there's too many defenders around the ball. There's very few opportunities for space. no real connection of anybody breaking free. It's like all the free-flying scoring from last season's just disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, when did they decide that they don't want to? Don't they need to be looking for attacking options if you know you have this problem? I mean,
yeah, they are, but at the same time, it doesn't help that we're still reckless in challenges to boot, because there were a lot of set pieces that set up some opportunities where it could have made things worse, but anytime we had any legit momentum, foul here, yellow card here, all of that was gone.
Well, Rachael, looks like between WV and Maxi Morales, NYCFC is going to be just fine.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're missing Mixed Discarud a little bit too much. Ooh, snap.
Ouch. Well, you know, Mix did go to that Swedish team.
Bye-bye.
More time practicing, less time making cryptic poems on the internet.
Yeah, he officially goes to IFK Göteborg, or Göteborg. I don't know how to say that. Göteborg, okay. While I sit here and look up how they are playing right now, correct? They're not in some kind of off-season?
It's Sweden, so outside of their bikini team, I couldn't tell you anything.
They're playing.
Wow.
They're playing.
Man,
apologies to any Swedish soccer fans out there, but I know hockey is also your primary sport, so I can't say too much, but yeah, everybody knows where my head would be at.
Yeah, God.
Yep.
There's nothing to say there. I mean, if you're look, he did well for himself in the Nordic League, so I'd imagine getting back to something a bit more familiar, he would certainly feel better about himself. IFK Göteborg are they? I don't have a 2017 thing here for them, so maybe they are they on a break right now?
They shouldn't be, because they're Europe.
Well, true, but even with different countries in Europe, they don't follow the same calendar because of weather. Because I know the Russian league follows a different schedule.
They were 4th last year in 2016 season, barely missing out on Europa and Champions League qualification. So at least he can, and it's only a 6-month loan, so at the end of August they'd have to figure out something else. But at least he gets time to acclimate himself again and get playing, and that's what matters right now for Mix at the end of the day, if he wants anything as far as U.S. men's national team. But I would also state that something we'll get into a little bit later, but the MLS Player anonymous survey came out, and Mix Discarud, with a whopping 26%, voted the most overrated player in MLS by the players.
Classic.
They said, let me see if I can find the quotes for this really quick. It's like really, oh, here we go. For what he came here to do and what he's done and not done, it has to be Mixed Discarud.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The other two that got quotes, Michael Bradley is second with 7%, and Andrea Pirlo is 4th with 4%, with Alejandro Bedoya being in third with 5%. So Pirlo and Bradley got quotes. I'll go for Pirlo. The class is there, but his effectiveness isn't there anymore in terms of mobility and perceived interest. Well, I think you can
that kind of changed.
That's kind of obvious. But I mean, what he's old, And he obviously knows this is an AC Milan. I mean, he knows this is MLS. In fact, Villa is already talking about a new contract while Pirlo's kind of like, I don't know. And Michael Bradley is a good player, but not for the money he's getting paid and the hype around him. Ouch.
Ooh. Ooh.
At least, when it's anonymous, they don't go around and they don't play around there.
They tell you how you really feel. And upon a further review, the Allsvenskan doesn't start until the first part of April. So they still got a ways to go.
That makes sense there. So, yeah, Mixiskarud now going to Sweden. So hopefully he plays well and, you can get it back into the U.S. mix if Bruce Arena even pays attention to what happens in Sweden. Who knows? He's so focused on what happens in MLS. He's good with that. Speaking of MLS, before we got moved out of that New York game, I will say that Tim Howard looked pretty good, denying Bradley Wright-Phillips quite a few times. So he's coming back from that injury and looking to kind of be in shape. So when we get
now
to talk
I am
about the
starting
U.S.
to
men's
see
national
what
team.
I am starting to see what you mean about the yellow jerseys after that. So, yeah. I'm sorry, Rapids. I tried, but looking like that, playing like that,
Yeah, we convinced him.
Yes. But we knew Colorado was going to play like this. They played this like this last year. They just defend, they clog up the midfield, and if they get a goal, great. If they don't,
Yeah, and doing that is just fine, but it would help if you didn't get the ball into your own net in the process.
Yeah, and I mean, they also have like a 6'8" defender too, so.
I mean yeah, certainly.
Like I don't want to be standing near Axel Schuberg. He could kill me.
Well, hey, it would be just if anybody goes down, he just look at the ref and say, "Hey, sorry for being large. I can't help it. Yeah, I'm up here."
Luis Robles also braced Chris Klein's consecutive start record, 142 consecutive starts for him, and clean sheet. I don't think you can get better for when you make record-breaking appearances. Cool for
you
him.
do it in style.
Speaking of doing it in style, I think a team that maybe we slept on when we're doing our predictions here, the Houston Dynamo, 2 games, 5 goals. I mean, Columbus hasn't looked good at all this season, but Cubo Torres on the score sheet again, and what a beautiful goal that was. Absolutely just gets a great ball in. He controls it, moves a little bit to the right, and then just lets it fly, and it's in the net. Beautiful. I mean, Columbus only scores with Kamara right at the death, so if not, it would have been another it would have been a clean sheet for Houston, but just, man, this team is looking great.
I just wrote about them in a story. They haven't had this much success since their last trip to the MLS playoffs, which was, 2012. Like, this is, they've shocked me. I will give it to them. They really have shocked me. And I'm very impressed with how well they're doing, but with how they're doing it. Like, they don't have the flashy players, the Clint Dempseys, the Kellen Acostas, the Michael Bradleys, but they are making themselves a force to be reckoned with.
I'm going to tell you, beware of the dreaded Texas two-step, because Dallas with solid performances, now Houston outshadowing them by quite a bit this weekend. I got to say, when it came to my predictions, oops.
Yeah, Erik Stefano looked great as well in here, and then the other 2 goal scorers, Ellis and Kyoto, were they're fast and they get things going, and then Columbus didn't seem to know what to do. In fact, they even caused Jonathan Mensah a nice welcome to MLS with a studs up red card for his trouble. So they're going to be without him the next game as well. Just disciplinary things going on for MLS, I guess. That makes it easier when you get sent off. You don't have to sit there and watch tape and go, well, does he need to be sitting down or not? It's all right, no problems. Rachael, Seattle, they didn't get to complete the comeback last week against Houston. Right at the death, Will Bruin does it for Seattle, but for large parts of this game, Montreal was really taking it to that defense.
Yeah, that was all Seattle. That was painful. That was really painful. I mean, I'm just looking like, where is Jordan Morris at? I said that last week. Like, where's Jordan? Jordan, where are you? Like, he was a goal-scoring machine last year, and now he's just kind of, like, stepping back. And I know Stephen Fry was injured during the summer. I don't know if that maybe has anything to do with it. But whatever it is, they need to get it together, or I will fly to Seattle.
Was that a handball on Jordan Morris?
I would say no.
And it really didn't look like it to me. It looked like more chest, if anything, but the way that they had the angles on that, it was tough to tell.
I tend to agree with you guys. That was sort of one of those, could have gone either way. Maybe you kind of give it over to the offensive side of things, but you really have to think that Seattle, hopefully with this, they've woken up and they're going to play better on the defensive end, because this wasn't a good showing there. And Piatti's goal also, just, I don't know how you kind of let him just walk, let's just keep letting him run through the middle of the park and score that pretty goal that he did. I mean, it's nothing. It was more fancy than at the end. It's just a straight, let's kick it in the net or whatever. But still, like that stuff shouldn't be happening. Honestly,
the fact that he got the opportunity to begin with is a little bit troubling for the Sounders.
And once again here, Sporting Kansas City, 2 games, no goals. FC Dallas, of course, they have CCL in the midweek, and they're a little bit worried because both Mexican teams did not play at all. Well, I guess we can talk about it if that's going to affect the results for those games or not. But, man, FC Dallas decided they're just going to start some kids, and we're just going to roll with it because we want to have everybody rested for that. I saw a lot of people complaining that the MLS should do something about it. My take is that in Europe, when you have player rotation, nobody complains. Well, people do complain because they want to see the stars all the time, but MLS does it for CCL, and we're supposed to provide a sanction on FC Dallas because they didn't start a certain number of guys. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is.
The mentality is because everybody's starting to get on the NBA for resting players in big games and this and that because the season's long and it drags on, and everybody's saying, oh, well, you're still going to be in the playoffs and this and that and da-da-da. What American soccer fans don't understand, welcome to the wonderful world of fixture congestion. In Europe, fans don't complain as much because they're playing 3, 4, 5 different tournaments simultaneously throughout the course of the season. They get that not everybody's going to be able to play a full match every 3 days. FC Dallas, I think, despite the fact that it was an ugly match, they get it. Early in the season, well-positioned, especially because of the Mexican teams getting the unexpected rest thanks to the strike and cancellation of Liga MX matches. They're like, hey, we need our top firepower even more. in CCL because this is deep in the knockout round. MLS can kind of take a back seat because it's only week 2. To me, I think they're doing the right thing, and I think fans are going to have to start, because of the way the CCL is scheduled in comparison to the season, they're going to have to understand that. I mean, imagine if they did the same thing for both the CCL and the US Open Cup. Fans would really freak out.
Well, US Open Cup, I think, is more like the FA Cup early rounds, or the League Cup, where you'll play the kids because you're expecting to be able to beat those, League 2, USL sides or the amateur sides or whoever it is you're playing.
Right, but I mean, even as you got later on into the US Open Cup, where it was just when you get to the point, quarterfinals or round of 16, where it's just about all MLS teams left, imagine if you even have more teams focus on that as much as they do MLS and these other tournaments. Right now, they can still go on and win those trophies with mostly reserves, but
right.
If you have your stars playing in that too, and MLS and CCL, I can only imagine how fans would react.
And I think, Rachael, all it really comes down to, I think, is if you have an MLS team finally win CCL, you might have teams care more about Open Cup because that's a ticket into CCL.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the Open Cup is very strange because of all the very different variety of teams, which I guess makes it exciting in a way. But it would be nice to see people care about the Open Cup more. But then again, you look at who's with what league and all that other stuff. I'm going to pull an Erik here and go,
That's kind of my attitude sometimes towards Open Cup. Like, I'll watch it sometimes. I think it's sort of exciting when, your team plays one of those, USL and ASL teams, and you get the scare because FC Dallas or whoever starts a whole different team at the beginning, and then they have to start bringing in the starters in the second half to try to pull something out, and they do right at the end, and it's like, oh, wow. They moved on to the next one. So, those are always fun. But a lot of times they can be boring.
Not to mention you get the very quirky local derbies and how they set that up, and it's like, wait, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's something. That team exists? Do you think, this game was really tight, and you had a bunch of yellow cards towards the end and stuff because of how tight it was, but do you say something here about Sporting Kansas City again, like no goals and having problems scoring?
I mean, while you say they have a problem scoring, they don't have any problems defending. I mean, early on, you'd settle for 0-0, but I would hope within the next week or two they can turn that into 1-0 just for their own sake. I mean, it's something that I don't know if they're making it a priority immediately, but I hope they know they have to address it soon.
Fair enough, yeah. I think that was a question. Right? If Dom Dwyer doesn't get on the sheet, who else is going to? And right now, it's nobody. That's a problem. Do you think it's a big problem? I mean, it's still early, obviously, but do you think it's a problem for Kansas City going forward, Rachael?
I think they need to figure out who's going to be their second goal scorer. I mean, it can't always be, the Dom Dwyer show, Look at also what's going on in Toronto. It's been the Sebastian Giovinco show for a while, and now he's down and out. And Orlando, it was the Kaká show for a while. And it just can't, they need to find it. If it has to be Matt Beasler or something, it's going to be Matt Beasler. It's just got to be somebody.
Yeah, certainly. It's got to be someone, and you got to do And as you mentioned, for Toronto, Giovinco suffered a leg contusion, running into a pretty big Aguchi Onyewu. You don't just run into Onyewu and then nothing happens. So
again, excuse me for being large. It's not my fault you got hurt. Whoops.
Right. The Philadelphia and Toronto game actually did have goals. Everybody kept complaining about, Philadelphia went and got an England 4th division guy, and Jay Simpson. Well, what does he do? Comes in, scores a goal in the 11th minute. Toronto's able to tie it up with a Josie Altidore penalty kick. After Alejandro Bedoya missed his, and seriously, unless the goalkeeper blocks it, why are you missing PKs?
Did you see his tweet afterwards?
What did he say afterwards?
He said, I'm going to paraphrase here, but he was like, sorry about the missed PK. It happens sometimes.
Okay. I mean, I guess it does happen sometimes, but gee.
No. That's a point where you take his phone and throw it upside his head. Seriously. Yes, missing PKs happen, but with that kind of an effort, and then you tweet about that, no. Like you say, Rachel, you get to a point in the season, somebody's going to get hands. Somebody's going to throw them hands. I'm sorry.
That was awesome.
I should mention that Jay Simpson did have to go out at halftime, though, so that's a concern for Philadelphia moving forward, how much of a problem that is. But, I thought, for the most part, we made the joke about Giovinco runs into him and whatever, but I thought Gooch played pretty well. For the first time seeing him. I didn't get to watch too much of that Vancouver and Philadelphia game that aired after we went off, but so far, Gooch returns to MLS more like the Gooch you remember.
Who knows? I guess kind of a little bit of a throwback. Gooch playing great. It might be a long shot. I don't even know if he would still be eligible, but maybe he's like, well, I'm back in MLS. I did well enough. Arena's back coach of the national team. Maybe I can come back? ... Question mark?
Pretty sure he is going to be on Mr. Arena's radar. It never hurts to have a... Yeah. It never hurts to have a tall defender. Especially one that has the that he's one of the few that has the long throw-in ability too. That's always one of those keys that people don't talk about. It can help you when you least expect. Speaking of helping with least expected, Anibal Godoy, 2 goals, 2 games, another beautiful goal. This time from about, I want to say, 18 yards out, just lets it fly, and bam, right in the net to get the game winner for San Jose after they had to come back from 2 down with Nick Lehman and Chris Wondolowski scoring the other 2 goals, and they are 2-0 in this season.
Wando?
It's no longer the Chris Wondolowski show, and that's kind of scary.
Also scary for the U.S. They got to deal with Mr. Godoy in the World Cup qualifying campaign. They got to go through in just a couple of weeks here. So,
when I was feeling better.
Among the other great Honduran players, they got to deal with Godoy's in form and adding to it. It's surprising. I didn't think San Jose was going to be this good, and they are as far as the attacking front, they look just as good as anybody else, and they have some great interplay with each other. When they get around the box, they're dangerous. I mean, watch out for San Jose, people. But,
definitely.
And Vancouver again, red card again. Second game, another red card. Like, guys.
You get a red card, and you get a red card, and you get a red card.
But I mean, the goalkeeper, I think that at this point, it was one of those where he really didn't have a choice. It was Wondolowski's going to go right on goal if he doesn't.
But, I mean, I get coming up, but did you really have to come up that far? I mean, even if you stay a couple yards back, yes, Wondolowski's a threat, but you give yourself a legit chance. Doing that, I mean, there is such things as professional fouls, but come on.
Very true. So we can close out the MLS portion here. Let's dive a little deeper into this MLS Player survey thing. And some of these questions they're asked every year, and so they have different results to them. Some of them are this year specific or whatever. And of course, one of the ones that they always get asked every year is, do you favor promotion and relegation in MLS? 54% said yes, 40% said no, and there was a no answer for 6%. I don't know how you no answer on an anonymous poll.
Well, that's because you don't care. That's how.
But it's just like, I mean, come on, like nobody's gonna know it's you. Just go ahead and answer.
Yes,
right?
But even if nobody knows it's you, if you don't have a legit opinion either way, rather than just struggle and make up something, you just skip it and move on to the next question.
Fair enough. I would mention that this is higher than last year, where last year it was a 49 in favor and 51 against. Now this year, they are more in favor of it. Some people think that this adds a better incentive for owners and for players, but a lot of the comments were negative, saying that if they have this happen, are we going to have coaches get fired every 6 games like in England? I don't think the league is strong enough yet to be able to do this, maybe in 10 or 20 years. And another person said, we don't need this at all. It doesn't mean that we're a worse off league because we don't have promotion relegation. What do you think?
What?
Got me.
Well, I have to agree to a certain extent with one of the comments, and I think number one, the fact that you have more foreign players in MLS, that is going to shift the attitude in favor of promotion relegation, because all over the world, that's what they use, either directly or even in the quirkier systems like Argentina, where you calculate points going back as much as 3 tournaments and then decide it that way. But when one of the players said the league's not strong enough, maybe 10 or 20 years, I don't think it's a question of strength of MLS per se, because that's getting better with their expansion, with offseason, with signing, how teams are doing it. But I think the issue is with the leagues below it. You had nothing but chaos throughout the NASL offseason. The USL is barely even on the map anymore. And then you have the leagues in the pyramid below that. If you don't build a better Division 2, Division 3 structure, then promotion and relegation will be disastrous.
I'd agree with you, though. I don't think that they're strong enough yet. I mean, imagine if one of these USL or NASL teams comes up. They're going to be worse than Minnesota, probably.
Oh,
the Riverhounds, my goodness.
So, I mean, like, I don't think you can do that yet. I think that Maybe. I hope it doesn't take 10 years, but if they have to, then it is what it is. I also kind of think that, again, it's more like the MLS. It's more like the American thing. Do we have to have it? I'd like to see it, but to me, it's not the end of the world if they don't.
No.
You know? Especially with how much they're wanting teams to pay to get in and everything else, and then, oh wait, well next year you're in the Division 2 again.
Yeah, I mean MLS, they are getting it was 50 to 150 million for an expansion fee. Owners and guys like Don Garber, they're not going to want to give that up so quickly.
So one that's a little bit close to Erik and I thought it was funny just because of how close this is. Will David Beckham's team in Miami ever happen? 48% said yes, 45% said no. And
wow.
One of the answers here is the guys that want to play there want to go for the wrong reasons. Let me tell you that right away. Like, wow.
Okay, as someone who has personal experience in that field, I could see, I could, yeah. Oh, man, I'm in shock with that. I don't know what else to say. Oh.
Do you think it's going to happen, Rachael? As an outsider, person doesn't live in Florida.
No, I don't think so.
Shouldn't the league at some point just be like, look, David Beckham, we love you, but, no. I'm sorry, man.
Well, I mean, they should, but they're not because it's David Beckham. But David Beckham doesn't understand how politics and stadia work in Miami. And I am going to set aside my feelings and not rant about why the Orange Bowl should still exist and why, if I had a bulldozer, I would have made that happen. But he clearly has not gotten along with the right people. Otherwise, this stadium deal would have been signed, sealed, and delivered, and we would have been wondering about if Miami would go back to being the fusion and the different colors and this and that. At this point, it's just too far gone. I don't even think he realizes that yet.
Yeah, I think David Beckham probably does. He's just trying to be political about it because you know how he is. I think also just how determined is he really to get that team going at this point? It's been what? It almost feels like 2 years at this point. We've been just playing this game of, oh well, they're gonna get the team, they're not gonna get the team. At some point, MLS needs to come in there and go, okay, we got 12 teams that want to come in. We want 28 teams. Like, I'm sorry, Miami, until you get your shit together, you're just going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, as is, look at all the bids, look at all the places that say, hey, we've got this infrastructure, we've got this team, our stadium's going to be located here, we're going to do this, we're going to build this, hey, Garber, how about it? Whereas with David Beckham, it's like, yeah, we can get the team, we just got to get the stadium. Well, I can't build here, and it's not like he's even exploring any other options. I mean, if he were legit serious and not doing this because it was a tremendous money-saving incentive on his contract, he would have been like, hey, Marlins, we see what NYCFC is doing with Yankee Stadium. You're trying to do all this. Let's talk turkey. Boom. It could have been done.
It's not like the Marlins just have a ton of people going to their games. Why not?
I mean, I've seen the World Baseball Classic. That stadium was damn near entirely Dominican. What does that tell you?
You're not. Yeah, maybe soccer might get them to. I mean, they care about baseball in the Dominican, but.
Well, they do, but I'm saying it's like you're not going to get a lot of American fans to come out and support an American team at a World Baseball Classic that would mean a lot. Maybe you can use the demographics of that population, especially right near Little Havana. Boom, soccer, done.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just the Latino community here. I mean, you get the right players to play for Miami, you're gonna get people to come out.
Yeah, look at the first iteration of Miami FC when they had Romario of Brazil. They packed that little place for him.
And what? Damn it! Why can't I think of his name right now? The big hair.
Too many guys.
Oh, that was
for
Tampa
that
Bay,
career,
I think. That was Tampa Bay. Well, what? He played for Colombia.
Oh!
You know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking
Yes, I know who you are now. I
Yes.
saw him in that documentary. Yes.
Another one that was sort of interesting here, and it kind of leads into another topic we'll talk about. Is Bruce Arena the right guy to take over the U.S. national team? 90% said yes. 10% said no. But some of the interesting things, I think he's a nice, let's get you to the World Cup, but maybe you need to do something after that. And another person said, I think it's a step backwards.
Oh, shit.
Ouch.
I would have loved to see who they would have wanted as the U.S. national team, but oh, jeez.
I think definitely he is the stopgap guy.
Yeah.
Anyway. What you do after that? Does it have to be Bruce? I mean,
because at this rate, given track records for how the U.S. does in the World Cup and where, we're kind of screwed when it comes to 2018. So I'm not holding out a lot of expectations if we qualify. But also, after the whole drama with Jurgen Klinsmann and with everybody sorting out issues in MLS and this new crop of issues that could potentially come forward, who's going to want the U.S. job? It's not like it's as highly heralded as some of these other countries.
What do you think, Rachel?
Get another German guy. Get another German guy.
Maybe Jurgen Klopp can leave Liverpool.
Yeah, there you go. Get the old coach of Borussia Mönchengladbach. He was good.
Yeah, right.
I liked him.
Wouldn't be bad.
Not to mention, England's got coaches to spare over the past few years. Maybe we can pluck one of them up too. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Foreign coaches right now may not be received that well at this point. Has the refereeing in MLS gotten better or worse? 28% said it's about the same. It's about, I think, like 40% say it's better, and 16% say it is. 50% say it's better, 60% worse, and 28% say the same. There was one comment here. I don't think the referees have improved at all.
Savage.
It doesn't even feel like most of them watch soccer on a regular basis, and we don't see them get punished for their mistakes.
Man, just hack it through like a knife with that one. Oh, God.
Yep.
I mean, I applaud efforts as far as better quality refereeing, full-time referees, but okay, drawing board maybe.
I don't know, but I do think they've gotten better though, and I think with the VAR thing, that might help in the end. It's just,
yeah.
just, I mean, one. But you got to think about it like it's still the structure and the discrepancy in quality, right? Like we can't even get NFL refs to have full-time jobs. And it's the freaking NFL. And you're asking Major League Soccer, who is making strides, hiring Howard Webb, bringing in the VAR, bringing all that to help them. But to ask them to be Premier League quality is a little bit much right now. I do agree with one of the other quotes. They do need to talk to them, and they do need to manage the players better because that's a problem. Sometimes some of them are very, especially I don't want to pick on certain ones, but some of the referees seem to be very like quick to pull out the card, and others are like they wait way too long, and the game gets out of hand at that point. And it's just like you got to be a bit more consistent.
Yeah, they have to show a good level of how to control the game early on, and I guess as you get more full-time refs in these sort of situations, more training, and especially working a bit more with FIFA, you'll get that over time. So it's one of those things to where there are positive strides, but it's a work in progress.
Alright, so moving away out of here at MLS, we got two things we got to do, and then we're done. I know we're in here late. I'm sorry. Rachael, it's been a bit now, but the U.S. Women's national team, 3-0 to France, just blows out of that She Believes Cup after winning the first game, losing to... again, it's a friendly tournament, but the U.S. sort of values this tournament. Anything to kind of take out of this?
It needs to get better. I really don't know much what else to say. It's a friendly tournament, but still, they are playing Germany, England, France. Teams that they're going to see in the World Cup in 2019, that they're going to see in the next Olympics and other major tournaments. These are teams that they're going to see. They're not. I think it was a good kick in the pants to say, hey, you're not just playing these rinky-dink teams. No, like major disrespect to any of them, but they're not as good as the Germany, the France, the England, and it just needs to get better. I think they're moving in the right direction with the players that they have. They have really talented players. Rose Lavelle, she made her first appearance in that game against, I believe it was England, and she was named the woman of the match. Like she's really good. The fact that they've finally brought in Allie Long is great. I think they're starting to realize that it's not just a Carly Lloyd show anymore. But they really got to get a handle on this goalkeeper thing. Jill Ellis has spent the last 6-7 months rotating between Alyssa Nair and Ashlyn Harris. It's time to pick one. And personally, I think Alyssa can get the job done better than Ashlyn.
Yeah, you do need to pick one. Goalkeeper is not one of those. Yeah, you can just keep switching between. It affects your back line badly to not have one voice.
She needs to pick her back line, too.
Now, I want to ask, and I know this year, do you think that the U.S. were victims as far as timing in the calendar? Because, and yes, I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record, for the U.S., we really don't have much going on. Yes, we have our friendlies and we have our domestic schedule, but for these other teams, they've got the Euros coming up. So naturally, they're going to see this as a better tune-up tournament because while they're not going to see the U.S. right away, they're going to see more of each other. So you think that played into at least a part of this?
Maybe, and I also think, too, that also goes to where the players are playing. There were 3 players on that roster out of the 23 of them that played abroad. That's it. They are way too focused in the NWSL. And, I mean, yeah, it's great to have domestic players, but, you know, Gina Lewandowski is over winning title after title with Bayern Munich's women's team, and she's not even getting a second glance? Come on.
Yeah, Joel's just got to broaden those horizons a bit. And, I mean, that's part of her job, too, is making sure you're getting the best 11, not only on the pitch, but getting the best in camp so that you can examine and look at them closer when you're sitting there and practice with them, because you don't get a lot of time with these players. Yeah, the U.S. women, I think you get more time than you do with the men, but, like, still, if you're not at least bringing her in or bringing others in from Europe to see how they stack up to the ones that you're watching all the time that maybe you see locally, how are you supposed to know if you're starting your best or not? Just I don't get that idea either. Same thing with Bruce Arena. You know, we talk a lot about MLS on here, but let's not play games. The European guys are still some of the best ones out there. And, you know, in that poll that I stopped talking about so we could move on, one of those questions was, does moving to MLS really help you? And one of the answers was, well, yeah, you're representing MLS, but it doesn't help you or the national team.
Ooh.
And, you know, that's something you got to consider when these are the only times you get that is in these tournaments, in these qualifying campaigns. You've got to make sure you've got your best out there.
Yeah, I mean, look at the recent endeavors, you know, this past week of Christian Pulisic and Bobby Wood and Fabian Johnson, DeAndre Yedlin. I mean, if you don't bring those 4 players into camp, then there is a problem with you.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, I don't think we're going to have that problem. I would assume Bruce Arena knows that these guys are some of their best, along with Jeff Cameron, who's coming back from the injury. John Anthony Brooks, you got to be bringing him in here. I mean, I still feel like Steve Birnbaum deserves a shot if we're going to look at MLS as far as defenders go. Nick Raimondo, goalkeeper, no doubt.
Sebastian Lletget was really good.
Yeah, Sebastian Lletget looked great in those friendlies, and he's been consistent for LA in these couple weeks that, you know, MLS isn't back. And you guys got any other picks here for the
Just
US?
keep Timmy Chandler off the dang roster. I'm so tired of seeing him on the roster. I think somebody that you should bring back, and I know his club is not doing well, but Alfredo Morales and Aaron Johansson are 2 really good. Alfredo Morales is a really good attacking midfielder, and Aaron Johansson is a really good striker. I think you should bring those 2 back.
What do you think, Erik?
Well, I mean, you pretty much covered all of my bases as far as I was going to suggest, and also to throw in a little bit of a homer bias. If you're going to look at Nick Raimondo as keeper, look at Bill Hamid too. I mean, get someone to at least push Guzan if he's going to be the guy and Howard's going to be on ice.
Yeah, Sean Johnson I would throw out as well. Has looked good with NYC so far. I think definitely some other MLS names to throw out there. You know, Darlington Nagbe, I think we probably see him. I think we could see Dax again because he's been consistent. Kellen Acosta.
You should definitely see him.
Yeah, definitely. I think, again, he's the closest you're going to get to giving Michael Bradley a run for his money as far as pushing him to be better when he's with the team. Do you think... I think this is an interesting stat that I looked at, and obviously, I mean, you have to factor in who was the coach and everything, but the U.S. men's national team has not won a significant game since 2013. Gold Cup without Clint Dempsey on the field?
Oh my.
Does that say something about the team or Clint Dempsey?
Both. And seriously, even with Dempsey out there, look at what happened. Just even using the Gold Cups as an example, look at what happened in 15, and then look at what happened in the CONCACAF Cup right after that. And now you've got what could arguably be an even tougher Gold Cup this time around in July. Having Dempsey out there, huge plus, but you got to be sure to build around him as well.
Yep. Yeah, you do. Certainly, I mean, he obviously works well with Josie, and then you got Josie working with Bobby Wood as well. So it's like, I think you don't have to worry about your forward line. It's about, well, is Dempsey going to be good to go and be good for the team? And does the team need to start looking past Clint Dempsey as far as, okay, that's it. We'll call him in, but it doesn't have to be an every time thing, and he doesn't necessarily have to play every time.
I honestly, especially since time is worn on, it wouldn't surprise me if this is his last cycle. I mean, in the fact that, yes, you have Gold Cup this year, World Cup next year, but I think that's just about it. He either retires internationally, or as you said, the team goes somewhere else, and you still have time to develop whoever that's going to be, because to me, that's a mild question mark at this point.
Do you continue that experiment with Graham Zusi here, or do you just...
It seems to me like it's been working with SKC, so I wouldn't mind continuing it, especially since you have a few more matches to go before you're playing anything significant. He seems to be getting the hang of it a lot better.
What do you think, Rachael?
I'd give it a go, but I don't think I would start him in a qualifier in that position.
I wouldn't either. Again, you're playing two teams they have quick players, and that is not a strength of Graham Zusi's. And let's look, in that Dallas game, he had to go forward a lot more because they had to find a way to freaking score because Dallas was tightening up everywhere. It's a different game when you've got a Panama, Honduras who are out there to try to light you up, and they're going to try to light you up fast because they don't want to keep the U.S. in the game. They want to provide hey, just let them know, hey, you're not going to take us lightly. We know you're desperate. We're going to make you more desperate. So, anything else you want to say on the team before we get out of here?
Oy.
Go USA.
These times are a little too interesting for my liking.
These are the times that try men's souls.
Oh, indubitably.
It's all about how they react and if they get the points that they need. And then you don't have to worry about it. It's back to boring. Well, we know what they're going to do when it comes to the World Cup. But let's still got a couple weeks till we get there. Until then, everybody, thank you for joining us this week. Again, you can check us out on various formats. So we're part of Last Word on Soccer, that website, and the Last Word Radio publication as well. Their RSS feed. We're of course part of the WTM network, so you can subscribe there to get all of our great podcasts, other podcasts that I do. Erik does the Foxy and Squid as well that you can listen to if you subscribe to that. And, you can hit us up YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever. Leave us a review if you want to, let us know how you think we're doing. And hey, hopefully you stick around. Until next week, though, we will see you later.
Goodbye, everybody.
The following podcast is
Peace.
a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.